This is Math 3, 1.2c notes. That's Unit 1, Lesson 2c. First we're going to talk about is function notation and what does it mean to plug things or numbers into a function. So f of x equals x squared. So if that's given to you, and I'd like you to find the following, f of 3. Now that doesn't mean f times 3, it's f of 3. This means you're taking the 3 and plugging it into the x. So it looks like this. This is where the x used to be. In its place I put the 3, and 3 squared is 9. If you were to write that as an ordered pair, it would be the 3 for the x and the y for the 9. 3 comma 9. Okay, next one. Find f of x plus 7. You're literally just going to take this x squared, put like this, parentheses squared, and in its place here you're going to drop the x plus 7. And that's it. We're not going to take it any further. When you get into like another math class, we've been in this one later on, we will double distribute, but for now that there would be your answer. Alright, so I could ask you to find f of x minus 4. And if I ask you to find f of x minus 4, same thing. Whatever's in the parentheses gets dropped in where the x is. So there's the x, so I want to put parentheses squared, and in that parentheses I'm going to put the x minus 4. It's evaluating. You're plugging it in for the x value. I could ask you to find f of heart. And then you're just going to take the heart and plug it in where the x used to be. So it just plugging whatever in the parentheses into the x spot. Okay, so what if I give you something like this? F of x equals x squared and g of x equals x minus 1. I'd like you to find f of g of x and graph. All right, what does that mean? What we're going to do is this is where the composition takes place. We're taking one function and plugging it into the other. So f of g of x. So f of, well, what is g of x? G of x, that's why they're labeled f of x, g of x. They have different names. What is g of x? X minus 1. Now it looks just like these up here did. So I'm going to take the x minus 1 and plug it into the f function. And the f function is x squared. So I'm going to take and plug in the x minus 1 where the x used to be, and it's x minus 1 squared. All right. This is your answer, and we're going to graph. We can think of this as we've been graphing y equals the quantity of x minus 1 squared. And how would I graph that? All right. According to this, either one of these I'm reading, it's right 1 and it's not up and down because there is no plus on the outside. So from 0, 0, because it's a parabola, and parabolas or quadratics are from the origin, 0, 0. I move right 1 and I don't go up or down, so I put a dot, and then my a value, not my slope, my a value is 1, so I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and make my U shape. Okay. Number 3, f of x equals 3x squared, g of x equals x plus 3, and the same as before, I want you to find f of g of x and graph. Graph the result. Okay, f of g of x means I'm gonna write it the way I did the other one. F of g of x means I'm going to take the g of x function and plug it into the f function, and the g of x is x plus 3. Again, now this looks just very similar to what I was doing earlier, taking the x minus 4, plugging it into the x, taking the x plus 7, plugging it into the x, taking the 3 or the heart and plugging it into the x. Now I'm taking the x plus 3 and plugging it into the x into the f function. Now my f function's no longer just x squared, it's 3x squared. And wherever the x used to be, the x used to be right here in the parentheses, in the parentheses, I put in the x plus 3. Oh, yeah, x plus 3. And that there is my answer. I'm going to write it as y equals. Y equals 3 parentheses x plus 3 quantity squared and graph. Now according to this, again from the origin, there's a left movement of 3 because it's the opposite, 1, 2, 3, and no up or down movement because there's no number on the outside. And that leading number is 3, it's not the slope, but I use it to go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, and I can't do it again because it's not a straight line, it is a parabola, and I make my U shape, and there it is. All right, I am going to move on. Number 4, g of x, and I'm going to write that over. I'm going to put f of x first, like I've been doing. F of x equals x minus 2, and g of x equals negative 3 absolute value of x plus, close absolute value, and then plus 1. All right, so that absolute value, the x is on the inside and the plus 1 is on the outside. All right, and this time I'd like you to find g of f of x and graph. All right, so same as before, only now we're going the other way, and you can go either way, f of g of x or g of f of x. Composition, you're plugging one function into the other. Okay, so this time I'm doing g of whatever f of x is, and f of x is x minus 2. And I'm going to take it and plug it into the g function. Okay, so in the f of x spot, I put what f of x is, x minus 2. And I'm going to take that x minus 2 and plug it into my g function, which is 3, absolute value, I'm going to leave blank, plus 1. Inside the absolute value where the x used to be, I'm going to plug in the x minus 2. And there is your answer. And we're going to graph. Okay, according to this, I'm going to go right 2 up 1, right 2 up 1. Now this 3 is a slope because absolute value and linear graphs are straight line. You treat them as a slope. So the slope is 3. It's up 3 over 1. Up 3. And I lost my negative in there, and I apologize. There and there. So if that was freaking anybody out, my apologies. It is still there. Okay, so I'm going to go down 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And because it's a linear graph, I could do it again. 1, 2, 3 over 1. I cannot do it again over here when it's a parabola because it's a curve. But with the straight line, I can. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3 over 1 in the other direction. 1, 2, 3 over 1 in the other direction. I'm going to continue. They're just testing the alarms right now. And that's there is your beautiful graph. Next thing we're going to do is describe translations.
Attention staff, it is a false alarm. Stay in your classroom. Thank you. False alarm.
Okay, we're going to A, graph f of x and g of x. B, describe the translation of f of x to g of x. Okay, here's f of x. Here's g of x. Maybe you can turn your volume down so it's not so loud on your end. Oh, there it goes, thank goodness. All right. F of x, g of x, and we're going to graph both of them and then describe the translation of f to g. It's important to get this order correct. F function to the g function. All right, so let's get our graph paper ready. I'm going to make this a 5 by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. Okay, I'm going to graph the first one that they asked me to graph, and I will graph that one in red. And it is right 2, up 1. According to this, it's right 2, up 1. Right 2, up 1. And the slope is, we don't see it there, but there is a 1 here, which means 1 over 1. And because it's slope, we can do it more than once. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And I go in the opposite direction because it is an absolute value. Okay, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And I make my V shape. All right, next one, we are going to do our translation as well, and I'll do that one in pencil. Again, I did this one in red. And the next one I'm doing in pencil, and that is left 3, up 3. 1, 2, left 3, up 1, 2, 3. That's left 3, up 3. And that one also has a slope of positive 1 over 1. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Those right there, that's enough of the lattice points. You could do more if you wanted. It's not necessary, but I can use the ruler because it is a V shape. It's not a curvy U. Okay, and it wants to know the translation from the red to the pencil. Okay, so this was 1, I'm sorry, that was 2. 2, 1. And from the 2, I moved to the negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is left 5. So I'm on part B. I just graphed it. Part B, describe it. So this is part A, graphing. Part B, I went left 5. Again, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from here at the 1, I went up to 3, and that was 1, 2. That was up to. You can see where it's easier if you have graph paper to do the counting. So if you can or have access to or can have your parents get you some, it is not a bad idea to invest. Okay, so I went left 5, up 2. All right, so that's my answer for part B. Okay, last one is a quick review question. I want you to graph, this is number 6, I want you to graph x minus 2y equals 8. Now, sometimes we get so caught up with graphing parabolas and quadratics and exponential, we forget how to graph these. So, quick review, there is no squared, there's no exponential variable, so it's a linear graph, so I get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract the x to the other side. X and 8 are not like terms, so I cannot subtract them. It's not negative 8x, but I am going to write it like this, only because that's the way we're used to seeing it, the variable first. And since it's negative x. Since 8 is positive, it's plus 8. And then I'm going to divide everything by a negative 2, and I do them individually like this. You could do one big one, but since we're going to be graphing, we're going to want to reduce. Positive 1/2 x minus 4. And that there is what we're going to graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. Okay. There's nothing in the parentheses, and this is linear. It's a linear graph, so it starts at 0, 0. There's nothing in the parentheses, so I don't move right or left, but I do move down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my slope is 1/2, which means up 1 over 2. This is not a parabola, so I don't do up 1/2 over 1. I go up 1 over 2, and I could do it again if I wanted to. Up 1 over 2. I'm going to do that again. Actually, I have done this one because I need 3 lattice points. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. You could go down 1 over 2 if you wanted to as well, but you needed at least 3 lattice points, and I have 4, and that's fine. And then you connect and make your line. Don't forget your arrows at the end because it does go on forever in both directions. That is it for this lesson.